let's I'm gonna have the names changed to protect the guilty, as ACDC would put it. So let's say this is let's just say he's the prince. Yeah, let's just refer to him as the prince. So in a land far, far away, the prince had a little experience once upon a time, and I'm going to tell you about it from the perspective of the narrator. So, without further ado, we're talking about the prince's DMT story time. And if you don't know, DMT stands for dimethyltryptamine. And just to be clear, I am not, as a disclaimer, I am not promoting drug use or advocating for it in any way on this channel. I am simply relaying a story time from the prince, and that is it. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, once upon a time, in a land far but not so far away, the prince had a little trip that he went on, and it was very insightful for him. So, essentially, before he went on his trip to the land of Blastoffville, essentially, he meditated for an hour before he went on his trip to help him calm his mind, because he knew that he was going to be having an intense experience for his first time doing DMT. And this was the prince's first psychedelic trip that he would ever go on. So prior, the prince had only done weed, also known as marijuana, prior to this experience. So the prince did not have any prior experience with psychedelic usage. So this would be a new experience for the prince. So while he was someone of very spiritual nature, as he was a martial artist as well, he was currently starting his journey along the spiritual line of development. So he figured that he should probably meditate for an hour to set his intention before he went on this trip. So he meditated for an hour, sitting in a mudra. If you don't know what a mudra is a specific hand gesture which is used to channel energy. And he sat there for an hour and got himself ready for his journey through the spiritual realms. And he also called upon angelic guidance around that same period of time, as the prince would typically invoke into himself the essence of the archangel Michael, archangel of the flaming sword, the first archangel ever created of all the primordial beings in existence. So, the prince meditated, and he used his understanding of mudras and his assistance of archangelic guidance to prepare him for his journey before he went on this trip. And he also included binaural beats as a modality of assisting him while he was on his journey. So the prince did it with a friend that he had at the time, and the prince was the first out of the two of them to go on this journey. And what happened was that essentially they did it through a bong, I guess would be the stoner term that is commonly used today. And the prince took his first rip of the bong and he felt like his sensory perception was changing around him, as he noticed high-pitched sounds started coming into his hearing, and his hearing started to get muffled a bit, almost almost like in Black Ops 2 when, a concussion or a flashbang goes off and all the sound around you starts to change or appear different. It was very much that same phenomenon. So, that was the first inhale. So he inhaled all on his first breath, and then there was a second rip that he did, and he took the second rip, and when he exhaled both of his rips, he exhaled, and he was standing up as he was doing it, as he was inhaling, and as he exhaled, he immediately sat back in his chair, and as soon as he hit his chair, boom, he was out of his body. So, and essentially he was on his journey after that point. So after that point, he was out of his body, and he started to see all these various geometric forms that are almost symbolic of something you would experience on a psychedelic trip. So the prince started to see various things as he went on his trip. From the prince's perspective, he would say that it felt like he was flying through his own mind, his own consciousness, and unlocking all the doors in his mind between the connections that he was doing through his meditation. So when he typically did his meditation, it helped him find almost information that existed in other areas of his mind. And when the prince was on this trip, it felt like he was unlocking or opening all those doors to the information so that he could access it more clearly. And that's what he mainly experienced while he was on this trip. And he also experienced some other interesting phenomenon, such as having various visions while he was on his trip. The prince noted that the area that he was in at the time, like the city and the neighborhood and all the places around him in the local area, you would be able to see at almost astral projection type vision or third eye type vision. And he would see certain various parts of the street, and he was bouncing back and forth across space and time, and he was interacting with various consciousnesses around him, and he noticed that when he had respect for himself and the environment and the other beings around him while he was on this trip, the trip happened in a more unity and harmonic manner of him having a greater understanding of the world around him and an enjoyable experience for himself. So, also to note, while the prince was listening to his binaural beats while he was on this trip, he did not fully understand the full science of it at the time, and he played it out of a speaker instead of having headphones in. So the binaural beats were kind of playing in the background as he was on this journey. In any case, going back to the prince's trip, he was essentially bouncing around places in space and time, seeing various moments in space and time, and getting information and interpreting understanding from that. And the trip did not last long. It only lasted about 5 or 10 minutes, because it was a very short-lived experience, as most of these psychedelic trips are of this DMT nature. So, yeah, it felt very dreamlike to the prince. It almost felt like he was asleep, except he was aware of everything that was happening, and he remembered a lot of what had happened on the journey when he came back, though he did not know how to express it all in words. The prince did come back. When the prince did come back and return to his body, it was a subtle integration as he performed his mudra on re-entry and found himself back in his body before long. And afterwards, he came to the realization that certain patterns in his life were not needed his development anymore, such as the presence of other things like, cannabis or marijuana. He did not want to have those be a biggest part of his life anymore, because he realized that he wanted to pursue other realms or modalities of connecting with spirituality, such as lucid dreaming, and he came to the realization that if you want to do something in life, if you want to practice or learn something, you want to do something, you want to become something, and you have a pattern in your life, such as the use of drugs or bad habits or negative patterns that prevent you from attempting that practice, in this case that being lucid dreaming, that you do not want those things around to inhibit you. So for a long while after that, he did not engage in other drugs or other recreational substances, because he found almost a peace in sobriety for a while, or for a time, to engage in some of his other endeavors that revolved more around spiritual and personal development, and having a clearer outline of the goals in his life and achieving those as his primary focus. So, now that I relayed the story of the prince's experience, let's just go to some of the aspects that typically align with one going on a journey such as this. So, as we know, DMT, also known as dimethyltryptamine, leads to things like altered perception, visions, dreamlike consciousness, jumping across space and time, or space/time, and a sense of oneness inside yourself. So, psychedelic trip, and this was the process in which the prince utilized to go on his trip, or the sequence of events that he performed before going on his trip. And let me remind everybody that DMT is something that is naturally produced in the body and is secreted during dreams and sleep. So it naturally occurs in our own body, and a lot of times when spiritual practitioners want to facilitate going on a journey of deep exploration of the self, they will take it externally, such as people do with taking ayahuasca, or in this case, DMT, dimethyltryptamine. So, that is a story time from the prince's past. I hope that you found this valuable in some way or insightful. The prince is sometimes shy or reluctant to share some of his own experience in life, as they have not all been happy experiences. In the prince's life at this time, he was going through a very, how should I say? He was going through a lot of tribulation, and this was a time in his life where he did not have a lot of resources around him. He did not have a lot of support around him. He was very much on his own in the world. He had to combat things like a lack of places to live, a lack of resources, barely getting by, not having food sometimes, so not having any, family around to support him, not having any relatives around to support him, or anybody in a secure circle to really depend on, besides the few friends that he had at the time. which were ultimately not perhaps in the best interest of his long-term development. So, in essence, the prince had to essentially, he came up from very humble beginnings, and he still continues that in his journey up until this point and into his future. But nonetheless, the prince did come out from the trip very humbled and with a renewed sense of life and connection to a higher divine purpose. And while he was already on the path to his spiritual development, this just helped him. This just helped guide him along that journey and somewhat accelerate his process a little bit. But looking back, the prince often reflects and thinks that, or has a sense of knowing that he did not need that experience to facilitate him getting to the place he is now at. Though it does, in hindsight, it did help accelerate his journey to a state of understanding which he felt was beneficial for him. So, that is the main thing that I have for you on the story time of the prince's DMT trip, or his first psychedelic trip, really. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if you guys have similar experience to the prince's first DMT trip or first psychedelic trip. Let me know if you like this video, if you like me talking about experiences like this, and if you find them helpful. Again, I am sometimes reluctant to make story times about this because I don't know how people will react to it. I don't know whether you guys find it beneficial. I do want to be more open with you guys and share more about myself and get to know you guys better. And part of that means that being open with you guys and being honest about the prince's journey up until this point, right? So, again, I hope you enjoyed. I encourage you to like and subscribe to this channel and help support me in facilitating more content for you guys and sharing more of my journey and experience with you guys, as well as the princes, so that you may derive any insight that you feel beneficial from that. Again, share this with any friends or family members who are interested in this kind of subject area, exploring consciousness, philosophy, any type of spiritual insight or personal development of any kind, science, physics, understanding consciousness and neuroscience, psychology, all of that. I also encourage you to follow me on Instagram at top_sorcerer. I will link all of my links in the description below, including my podcast, Moonstruck, where I talk about various topics in physics and science, as well as philosophy and spirituality, focusing on themes of self-expression and personal development, in the hopes that it can help translate for you as well into your experience. So, once again, I encourage you to like and subscribe to help support the channel because it really does help. And the prince would very much appreciate it. So, yeah, that's what I have for you today on the Sword of Mercury. So, yeah, let me know if you found this helpful. Comment below, because I love to hear your guys' feedback. And tell me what you like most about this. Tell me if you want to see content similar to this, or maybe you have a more appreciation for some of the other content I produced in the past. But I do love to hear from you guys in general. I do have many stories of the prince's experience that I could share with you guys. So let me know if you want me to make more story time videos on, not all of them, of course, are the prince going on psychedelic trips, but some are just experience that he had found valuable in other areas of his life, and that he felt was valuable for him to get to this point that he's now at. So if you want to hear more storytime videos in ASMR, let me know in the comments below. And yeah, thank you guys so much for your support. I really do genuinely appreciate it deeply, and I'm looking to being more open and transparent with you guys about all of the experience that myself and the prince have had in our journey. So once again, I encourage you to like and subscribe. I will link all my links down below, and I will see you guys next time right here on this sort of Mark